Hey guys, welcome back for another reaction. Today I'll be checking out just how racist is Finland. So this is gonna be an interesting topic and I'll be hearing it from a Chinese Americans. So yeah, racism is not just happening in just one country, they're everywhere. And I've heard that Finnish people are actually nice people, like they're really friendly. And yeah, sometimes I would like see comments on my reaction videos and then they would say like you're an Asian, but it's not from Finnish people. I don't know where these people come from, but they're like white people. I just didn't bother checking in. So yeah, don't they know or don't they ever heard of Asian Americans? Don't they hear about people who were like brought there when they're a kid or migrate in that country and now they have American citizenship? Because, it's just funny. Like, they should, like, at least Google. I don't want to say more about it, but yeah. There's also one comment that I remember before that somebody said, like, you're not American, you're an African. That is so disappointing to like hear that from people just because I'm not white, I don't have blonde hair, I don't have blue eyes, then I'm not as what they want me to be. That's so stupid. They should at least look up Google. It's just so stupid. And there's nothing wrong being an African. Like, why would they use that as an insult? That's really disappointing. But yeah, let's watch this video.
As a Chinese American living in Finland, I've been asked whether or not I think Finland is a racist country. While I personally don't think there is a definitive answer, given what happened to Miss Finland recently, I thought that this is a perfect opportunity to address this question. Hey there, if we've never met, my name is Shirley and I am a Chinese American married to a Finn, now living in Finland with her 2 kids. I make videos
Two
about life in
kids.
Finland, so if you are interested in that content, make sure to subscribe to my channel. This video is a little bit different than the normal videos that I make. But grab yourself a cup of coffee or tea because this might be a chatty one. So if you have not heard about the whole debacle with Miss Finland, her name is Sarah Ditzface. Ditzface. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Her mother is Finnish and her father is from Kosovo. So an image popped up on the interwebs of Miss Finland stretching out her eyelids with a caption reading, going out to eat with a Chinese person, or something along the lines of that. I've read a couple of articles regarding this, and it seems like she posted this image to a social media account in Germany, I think. It's some random app that I've never heard of. And by the looks of the image, it looks like it's either a screenshot or a really low quality video, like something you would see like in Snapchat. If you don't remember what Snapchat is, it's kind of like a reel or a short. It's like a low quality video. And some reports said that the caption was not written by her, but it was written by somebody else that shared this image that got it out to the public. So I honestly don't know where this image came from, and I don't even know where this caption came from. It might have been from a third party and not Miss X Finland herself. I of course didn't see the original image that she shared, so I don't know what the context was, and was she talking to somebody on a chat, or was she like, I don't know, telling a story to somebody, replying to somebody via video? I don't know, but it feels like this might have been taken out of context. But regardless, she made a racial gesture that offended a lot of people. To make matters worse, when people started criticizing her for this image, she kind of dodged it with a lie. She said that she had a headache and she was like stretching her temples to relieve her headache. But I'm sorry, if you have a headache, you're not gonna be smiling like this. And to make matters worse, while this was all bubbling up, she was on a first-class flight. And I think she posted something along the lines of, well, haters hate, I'm still enjoying first class, or something like that. This is all allegedly. I have not seen any of these images or responses firsthand. I'm only reading off of sources that I see online. So to make a long
I've never heard of this issue before until now, and yeah, that is so crazy that she said she's still enjoying her first class flight. And if she really said that, that really shows that you can't really buy class or manners. That's so crazy. And I always been really offended, like, because I really don't have a very tiny eyes, but I am not Chinese. But yeah, doing this is really insulting. There's nothing wrong with it. And we're not really making fun of people who have big eyes too. And I think I like people who actually have big eyes, but we're not really making fun of them. But yeah, let's continue this one.
Long story short, her title was stripped from her and she is no longer Miss Finland. At a press conference, it was announced that
Oh,
the first runner-up
that's
to Miss Finland
sad.
2025 has now been crowned the new Miss Finland, and her name is Tara Lehtonen. During this
Oh
press
my
conference, the previous
gosh.
Miss Finland, she apologized to everyone that she might have hurt, especially in the Asian community, and she even went as far as apologizing in Chinese. Here's a small clip of her doing that. I'm very sorry. And once she was stripped of her crown, there was a whole round of backlash regarding the stripping of her crown. And there was a group of politicians in Finland that actually supported her actions, and they posted photos of
What?
themselves stretching out their eyelids. And here's a
That's
photo of that.
not
I mean, look at this guy. I crack up every time
nice.
I look at this picture. Like,
Is this
you're a
for you?
politician. Come on, you're acting so childish. The ex-Miss
Yeah.
Finland, Sarah D, I'll just call her Sarah D because I can't say her last name. She is 22, I believe. Politicians here are at least twice her age. So there's no excuse for them doing that. I mean, you can
No.
show support in many, many different other ways. Make a sign, say, Sarah D matters or something. But don't do that. So I've lived in
No.
Finland myself now for 2 years, and my
This is really something that I really don't understand, the racism. Like, at the end of the day, we're all gonna die. And why don't we just spread kindness? Like, we may have differences, but we have differences like emotional. We are humans as well, you know. So yeah, that just bothers me, but who cares? Whatever.
myself personally have not received any sort of racism. I'm sure people have thoughts when they see me with my husband, who is Finnish, but they don't say it out loud. They just think in their head, and maybe they tell their friends
That's actually
that I
nice.
don't speak Finnish, which I don't. So if they've done that, I would know because I don't understand what they're saying. At least no racial slurs were thrown at me in English. So let's now talk about
Yeah.
America, where I grew up. So I am a Chinese American, so I was born in China, and I immigrated to America when I was 8 years old. And in elementary school, as I was learning English, I walked by a newspaper box, and I think there was like a picture of an Asian person on the newspaper, and somebody wrote on the box, huge letters, chink. At the time, I didn't understand what that word meant, and I
That's
went home
so
and looked it up,
rude.
and I quickly knew that that was a racial slur to make fun of my eyes. And
That's
honestly,
so
I was a little bit
rude.
offended by that when I was like 8 years old or 9 years. I don't remember. I was pretty small, but I was just like, oh, okay, well, that's not very nice, but what can you do?
No.
And while walking down the street in America, I've also been yelled at. People have told me to
Never
go
happened to
home,
me.
like, go back to China, go back to your country, and things like that. And then, of course, there are people that just random strangers that just come up to me and say konnichiwa or like ni hao, because they don't know what type of Asian I am. Konnichiwa is hello in Japanese, and ni hao is how you greet somebody in Chinese. So, I mean, I wouldn't really consider those racial slurs, but it's just like, what are you supposed to do with that? Like, I don't know you. You just come up to me and you're like, ni hao.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Yeah.
weird. So before relocating to Finland, I've lived in the US for more than 30 years, and I've actually lived on both the west and the east coast, which both have a large
Really?
population of Asian people. And even then, this has happened. So imagine living in the deep south or somewhere in the middle. When I hear people saying like, go back to China or go back to your own country, I can't really say anything to that because I was not born in America, even though I'm now an
Yeah.
American citizen. Somewhere in the back of my head, it's kind of like, okay, well, that's true because I was not born in this country, so technically
Yeah.
I should be going back to my country. So it makes me wonder how American Chinese people feel in America, those that were born in America with Asian ancestry. All right, let me wheel this.
So yeah, I'm glad I live in North where people are really nice and really friendly. So I haven't had that kind of racism, like facial slur or like go back to your country, like stuff like that. But yeah, that's so rude that they do that. Like, what do you get from doing it? Like, grow up. That's so childish. That's crazy. It's really crazy. I think my eyes is not that small, right? That's a silly question, but yeah.
Back into this Miss Finland situation. At first, when I saw this image, I was not really offended, and I personally just thought that she was being really immature. I haven't been on Facebook a whole lot, but when I did go on to search for what happened to Miss Finland, a whole bunch of posts came up regarding Miss Finland. A shameless plug here, I actually started a Facebook page for Finlandia Diaries. I have 0 followers on there right now. So if you are on Facebook, head on over there and give me a follow. And then I came upon this post by Miss Finland 2016, whose name also happened to be Shirley. She spells a little bit different than I do. She doesn't have an E in her name. name. So her name is
Okay.
Shirley Karvinen, and she is half Chinese and half Finnish. And when she was selected Miss Finland in 2016, there was also a lot of backlash because people are saying she's not really fully Finnish because by her looks, she does look half Asian. And so I came upon her posts of what she thought of this whole situation. So she says, I've been following the recent racism debate, and at first I wonder why, because it didn't arouse such a big reaction in me. Until I realized that racist slurs and jokes have been normal for me my whole life. Keeping quiet and avoiding the issue is a learned reaction and defense mechanism. And this rang a bell in me because I was like, oh, that's why I was not really offended, because I grew up like this and I was just used to it, and you kind of just put up a wall and not really think much about it. She goes on to say, I have also had my eyes rolled in mockery. I think she means pulled. I'm just using a Google translation version of what she wrote in Finnish. I have been scolded and belittled because of my Chinese background. I have heard the most disgusting Chinese names in school. And when I read that, it kind of hit me like, what are our kids going to go through in Finland in schools? And that's what made me decide to make this video. She says, after the Miss Finland competition, my Chinese background caused a stir, and I often received face-to-face comments about how a real Miss Finland should be Finnish. Even today, racist insults can be found in the DM box regularly, and I just find that really sad. Like, come on, guys. And then there's also a picture of her and her mom when she was young, and she says, thanks to those who have the courage to address the grievances, even if the matter does not directly affect them. In the midst of the circus, it gives us hope that the matter was reacted to loudly. Young Shirley would have felt seen. I believe that many young Asians will also gain strengths from this discussion. So I thought it was nice of her that she posted this. And in her last photo, she says, I hope that someday I can raise children who celebrate their background and carry it with pride. Diversity is beautiful. So is Finland a racist country? I'm going to give you a few more examples and you can decide for yourself. So there's something called St. Lucia Day, which is celebrated in a lot of different parts of Finland, especially those with Swedish-speaking backgrounds. It happens every year on December 13th, and I think every city has their own Lucia, but in Helsinki, every year a young woman is chosen by the public to represent Lucia. So St. Lucia is celebrated as a festival of light, and the chosen Lucia will wear a wreath on her head with candles, like real candles, and like walk through the cathedral and also downtown, I think. And in 2024, the Lucia that was chosen in Helsinki, her name is Daniela Owusu. So her mom is Finnish and her dad is from Ghana. And of course, she is biracial and she doesn't look like the typical Finnish person. And there was a whole lot of backlash about that because she did not look like a St. Lucia. The next example probably happened by accident. So if you've been following along on my channel, you know that there is a large chain of supermarkets called K-Markets, which is short for Tesco Corporation, and they own a chain of supermarkets. And these supermarkets will have different names the larger the store gets. So starting with the smallest one, that's called a K-Market, and then you have K Supermarket, and then you have K City Market, which is like the size of Walmart. So before they named their supermarkets like this, they used to use the letter K to indicate how big the store is. So the smallest store will be called K Market, the second largest store will be called KK Market, and then the third store will be called KKK Market. And of course, they somehow realized that that was probably not really appropriate, so they renamed everything, and now everything is a little bit different. And then we have a classic board game here in Finland called Africa Star, or also known as African Tähti. Looks like this. This game has been around for more than 70 years, and my husband actually grew up playing this game. The game that he used to play is still sitting at his parents' house, and we often play with it when we visit, and we just actually got our own a few days ago. So the theme of the game is you travel all around Africa looking for the African star, which is the largest diamond here. There's also a ruby and an emerald, I think. The game board is basically a map of Africa, and then you go to different stops trying to avoid robbers who try to take your money and your gems. But yeah, this is a classic Finnish game that has been around for ages. And a few years ago, there was a stir at the University of Helsinki, and people were debating whether or not this game itself is racist. There are some caricature-like illustrations on the board depicting African people, but I think for a lot of Finnish people, especially Finnish kids, this is probably their first impressions of Africa. So do you think Finland is racist? Let us know in the comment section below. But if you ask me, I think everybody can be a little bit racist in some way, whether or not they like to admit it. When people don't understand a certain population or their culture, of course different thoughts are going to come up in your head. You might not act upon those thoughts, you might not say it out loud, but I think everybody has it in them to question something when they don't understand. But whether or not you want to make a racist comment or a racist post about it, that's entirely up to you. A lot of people in mainland China was really offended by Miss X Finland's post here, and I think it definitely exacerbated when politicians started doing the same thing. So now everybody is made to apologize because you don't want to upset China. But you know what? Chinese people can be really racist too. So I don't really know how to conclude this video, but it is the holiday season, and I guess I'll just say be kind to yourself and others around you. I hope you enjoyed this mood lighting that we've got going here. This is not really the type of content that I make on this channel, but
yeah, that was a really interesting topic, and yeah, that was really childish of her to do that, like the ex Finland. That's so crazy that even politicians side with her and do the same slur, and that's very disappointing. But yeah, I actually never heard of that, so yeah, I find this very interesting and very odd. But yeah, I think racism is everywhere, and yeah, we definitely have a bit in ourselves, but maybe we should not say anything to people that would hurt them, because you could never take back words when you already say it, and then it will just stay in their head. Like, whoever that person who told me that I'm not American, I'm an African, you suck. I hope you go to hell. but, but yeah, that's just so rude. And why would you use African as an insult? That's very disappointing to read. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.